Alright, good evening RWL Wrestling fans. We're still in Edmonton, Canada. Welcome to RWL Legends Showdown. I'm Chicago Danny Awesome. Southwest Regional Manager Gene Berry was supposed to be here, but he's a little too busy. So joining me will be RWL Light Heavyweight Champion Sir Reggie Smythe. Reg, glad to have you aboard.
Well, thank you very much, Danny. It's a pleasure to be here. Don't get to do this quite as often as I'd like. So, how do we play this? Do you want me to be cooperative or do you want me to be antagonistic, like Jesse Ventura or something like that?
You know what, just do whatever you feel. It's fine with me. Our opening contest tonight, all legends all the time, of course, here on Legends Showdown, and our first is going to be Rikishi Fatu in single action against Gene Snitsky of the MJ Ferrantino group.
From the island of Samoa, weighing in at 350 pounds, Rikishi Fatu.
Well, this is an opportune thing, Denny. You may not know this, but Team Euro has a tag team match coming up with Rikishi and Samoa Joe at the Labor Day Slamathon. Now, it's an opportunity for me to rather scout Rikishi Fatu. The team actually has been doing rather well, haven't they?
They sure have. They've been very busy and pretty successful too.
And this will be the first time we get to see Gene Snitsky following that post-match attack by the Unholy Trinity. I hope he's back in proper shape.
I'm sure he is. I'm not worried about it.
His opponent, accompanied by manager MJ Ferrantino, from Nesquehoning, Pennsylvania, weighing 302 pounds, Gene Snitsky.
MJ Ferrantino putting aside his thing with Scott Bell, at least for now, as Gene Snitsky gets ready to rock it against Rikishi Fatu, and that's going to be a great matchup. Two super heavyweights, you can't go wrong there.
I'm inclined to agree with you. But Gene Snitsky, after all, like I say, he's not been back for some time. We'll have to see how he fares against Rikishi Fatu, who's been very busy lately, as you say.
It ain't just Snitsky. Ferrantino and his whole stable been busy.
And it is rather a bit frightening how quickly he's amassed such a great amount of talent in only 9 months.
Definitely. MJ Ferrantino, he's on the way to building a frightening stable for sure. They just took out primetime Bobby Mills. And who's next? Probably somebody in Scott Bell's group. Alright, a real tussle of super heavyweights on the way here. Tom Kanemaru rings the bell. Snitsky charges Rikishi, stops him, takes him down with a shoulder tackle. Rikishi wound up by Snitsky, taken down with a clothesline. Rikishi back up on his feet, gets a hold of Snitsky. Snitsky shifts his weight, turns the move around on Rikishi. Snitsky goes behind. Look at this, a nice roll up, a victory roll. 1, 2. Hey, wait a minute, look at this. 1. Nice counter. Snitsky again. Oh, that's some pretty impressive wrestling right there. Gene Snitsky with a kick to Rikishi Fatu. Rikishi counters with a shoulder tackle. Follows that up with a stomp. Man, Rikishi Fatu turning things around pretty quick. Gene Snitsky slams him face first down to the mat. And now right into a choke, right in front of the referee. MJ Ferrantino doesn't seem to mind too much. Samoa Joe might be a little concerned. Gene Snitsky might be mishandling the merchandise. Snitsky with a shoulder tackle takes Rikishi down. Rikishi counters with a shoulder tackle too. Snitsky countered by Rikishi. There's a backbreaker. There's a kick. So you say Team Euro going to be facing Snitsky and Samoa Joe?
Yes, that's right.
Got any kind of strategy?
No, just the usual. Me being fast and Thibaut Belescu being strong. I'm sure we have an opportunity to defeat them.
Well, I wish you good luck. Rikishi Fatu in control of Gene Snitsky at the moment. Snitsky on the apron, a hard right hand. Takes Snitsky down. Samoa Joe gonna help him up. Very generous. Hard right from Snitsky. Rikishi countered with an elbow. Rikishi counters Snitsky. Snitsky with a knee to Rikishi. Everybody back in the ring now. A hard shot to the midsection for Rikishi. Snitsky whips him to the corner. Rikishi with the quick Olay out of the corner into a belly-to-belly suplex on Gene Snitsky. Snitsky with another shoulder tackle. Rounds up Rikishi for 2. Hard whip to the corner. Oh, here we go. A set of machine gun punches and an uppercut. Rikishi down in the corner. Helped out with a sit-out powerbomb from Snitsky. Samoa Joe manipulating the turnbuckle. The referee got to fix that. Snitsky opens up with a set of shots on Rikishi for 2. A wicked kick to the face, then another one. And a spin kick right to the midsection. Snitsky goes for the cover. 1, 2, 3. Did you see that? Samoa Joe tried to grab referee Tom Kanemaru, but Gene Snitsky ends up winning by pinfall.
The time, 3 minutes, 15 seconds. Your winner, Gene Snitsky.
That's not that, Denny. Sometimes, as my dear father used to say, sometimes you're the grand piano, sometimes you're the fellow underneath the piano. Apparently it was Rikishi for 2's night to be underneath the piano. Me up just still kind of sitting here, mouth open. Can't believe it. 3 minutes and 15 seconds. That's pretty quick. I guess Gene Snitsky's back in shape. You ain't got to worry about that anymore. He went and he cleaned Rikishi for 2's clock. And every time Rikishi tried to get in the offense going, Gene Snitsky kept putting a stop to it. And that certainly was the case. Gene Snitsky came out far too aggressively. Even Rikishi for 2 couldn't withstand it. That's how it turned out. Well, there you have it. Gene Snitsky picking up a pinfall win over Rikishi for 2, which is pretty amazing. Alright, well that takes care of our first match for this evening. We're coming back in just a minute with a whole lot more RWL Legends Showdown, 2 big hours, and we've just gotten started. Stick around, we'll be right back. Alright, coming up next on Legends Showdown, a singles matchup. Definitely worth the price of admission. Titus O'Neil getting all set to lock it up with the Unholy Trinity's Big Bob Duncan. Actually, it's kind of the Unholy Trinity -1 these days.
Ladies and gentlemen, this next match, 1 fall, a 10-minute time limit. Approaching the ring from Live Oak, Florida, weighing in at 270 pounds, Titus O'Neil.
Been a long time since we've seen Titus O'Neil in an RWL ring. It's nice to have him back. Tonight it's a one-on-one against Big Bob Duncan. What do you like, Reggie? Actually, I'm kind of partial to Titus O'Neil. I think he's capable of picking up a win over Big Bob Duncan. Unholy Trinity seems to be having a bit of an unlucky streak these days, aren't they? I don't say it's the only edge Titus O'Neil's got, but any edge is a good edge. Well, yes, that's true, but at the same time, he loses that edge by virtue of the fact that the Unholy Trinity likes to cheat. And with Dutch Mantel at ringside, you know what you can expect.
His opponent, accompanied by Dirty Dutch Mantel, from Austin, Texas, weighing 326 pounds, Big Bob Duncan.
Well, at least Bob Duncan and Dutch Mantel are here. I'm sure primetime Bobby Mills is watching comfortably from his hospital bed. Oh well, these things happen. But I'm sure there's going to be more tension between the Unholy Trinity and MJ Ferrantino. Of course there's going to be. Seems to me MJ Ferrantino's a very vindictive young fella. Yeah, Ferrantino don't get mad, he gets even. And you know what? When you got 2 stubborn minds, like MJ Ferrantino and 2 short Popeye Scott Bell, it's always going to end up in conflict. It's always going to end up in sparks. As well, returning our attention to this match, Denny, I believe that if Titus O'Neil can circumvent the cheating of Big Bob Duncombe and Dirty Dutch Mantell, he's certainly got an opportunity to win this match. Yeah, well, remains to be seen. Well, just the same, I'm holding out hope for Titus O'Neil. I don't think much of Bob Duncombe. I think he's an uneducated hillbilly. If that's your idea of being antagonistic, I like it. All right, Tom Canamora rings the bell. Here we go. Titus O'Neil, quickly countered by Bob Duncombe. Duncombe gets a hold of Titus, whips him into the corner. He rebounds out. Quick counter from Titus O'Neil. Bob Duncombe catches a kick to the back. Titus O'Neil opening up a can of whip-ass early here. Quick counter from Bob Duncombe. Another counter from Titus O'Neil and a quick one-arm takedown from Titus. Whoa, look at this. Opens up with a series of kicks on Bob Duncombe. Drags him towards center ring. Goes right back to work on the arms. Dutch Mantell already doesn't like what he sees. Getting into it with Titus O'Neil already. Bobby Duncombe. A little bit slow getting up. Gets a hold of Titus O'Neil. Takes him from behind. Here we go. Boom. Back suplex. Bob Duncombe. Countered by Titus O'Neil with a dragon screw. A stomp to the back. Titus O'Neil. Countered quickly by Big Bob Duncombe. Immediately goes back to work with a series of shots for Bob. Whoa! A knee shot that took Duncombe down quick and a cover. 1, 2. Look at Dutch Mantell. He's absolutely frantic. Titus O'Neil really going to work here on Big Bob Duncombe. Duncombe up to one knee. Counters with a couple of shots. Backs off Titus O'Neil. Gets a hold of him. Whips him to the far corner. A clothesline. Takes Titus down. Bob Duncombe with a right into a backbreaker. And now Bob Duncombe takes himself all the way up to the top turnbuckle. Here we go. The elbow drop. Finds the mark. Here's the cover and the hook of the leg. But not even a one. Wow. Titus O'Neil kicking out of the pin real quick. Titus counters Bob Duncombe. Backs him off. Duncombe counters with a kick. Into a Lucas press. A bunch of hard right hands right to the face. Bob Duncombe switching things around, turning the tables on Titus O'Neil. Now a rear chin lock applied by Bob Duncombe. Titus O'Neil trying to fight his way loose and he ain't having no good luck. Gets back up on his feet. Two little elbows and he's loose again. Up over the shoulder. Bob Duncombe about to go for a ride. Oh man, power bomb to the floor. Titus O'Neil quickly stopped by Bob Duncombe. There's a dragon screw. Dutch Mantell itching to get involved. Look at him. Titus O'Neil with another dragon screw on Bob Duncombe. Duncombe counters with a shot to the midsection. Everybody's back in the ring again. Duncombe whips Titus to the ropes. Big flash. Nothing happens. A quick counter from Titus O'Neil into a DDT on Bob Duncombe. Titus O'Neil turning things around for himself pretty quick here. Here's another cover. 1. Gotta give it to Titus O'Neil. He's definitely trying. Hard kick to the back. Bob Duncombe back up on his feet. Another kick from Titus. Duncombe whipped to the corner. A clothesline to the back. Duncombe falls. Look at this. Rear chin lock applied by Titus O'Neil on Big Bob Duncombe. Duncombe finds his way out. Titus right back on him. Whips him back into the corner again. Duncombe counters with an elbow. Fireman's carry from Titus O'Neil. Titus hangs Duncombe up off the top rope. Gives it a good yank and down goes Bob Duncombe. Bobby Duncombe suddenly finding himself in a little bit of trouble here. Titus O'Neil rounds him up. Front cradle. And nails Bob Duncombe with a rib breaker and a fallaway slam. Dutch Mantell already fiddling with the turnbuckle in the corner. Titus O'Neil warming up the bus here. Whoa! What a powerbomb Here's a, oh, look at this. There was gonna be a pin, but Dutch Mantel spoiled everything. Titus O'Neil countered by Bob Duncombe. Another dragon screw. Down goes Titus O'Neil. Bob Duncombe trying to rally the fans here. Nobody likes him. A splash. O'Neil comes out of the corner. Bob Duncombe nails him with a DDT. Look at this. Dutch Mantel brings in a chair. Here's a cover. 1, 2. Well, looks like Duncombe might use that chair after all. Only a 2 count. Titus O'Neil, slow getting back up here. Bobby Duncombe rounds him up over the shoulders. There's a Michinoku driver. There's a cover. 1, 2, 3. Whoa. Bob Duncombe wrapping this one up pretty quick with Titus O'Neil.
Ladies and gentlemen, the time, 5 minutes, 45 seconds. Your winner, Big Bob Duncombe.
Well, your winner that pinfall, Big Bob Duncombe. With a little help from his friends, of course. Yeah, well, that couldn't be helped. I gotta give full marks to Titus O'Neil, though. He put in a great effort. If it weren't for the fact that Dutch Mantel was at ringside and that Big Bob Duncombe was playing dirty, things might have gone different. Yes, well, when you break it down, Titus O'Neil was robbed of a victory, wasn't he? Yeah, I guess he was. But, like I said, when you're dealing with the unholy trinity, Dirty Dutch Mantel, Big Bob Duncombe, and Primetime Bobby Mills, this kind of stuff can't be avoided. Well, then I suppose the only thing we can hope for is for people like MJ Ferrantino to make sure that these people get their comeuppance. That sounds fair. That sounds very fair. All right, well, there you go, Big Bob Duncombe with a pinfall win over Titus O'Neil. We'll be back with more Legend Showdown right after this. Well, Danny, here's one of interest to me, a serious David and Goliath scenario with Chris Jericho set to face Dick the Bulldog Brower. I say, Danny, that is a serious business, isn't it? I like the way you mumble under your breath. You remind me of Popeye in the old black and white Max Fleischer cartoons. Well, that's got to feel good to Chris Jericho. The crowd here in Edmonton giving Chris Jericho an extraordinarily warm welcome. Well, he's super popular here. He's super popular everywhere he's ever competed, all over the world.
Ladies and gentlemen, the next match, one fall, a 10-minute time limit. Approaching the ring from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, weighing 226 pounds, Chris Jericho.
To me, he'll forever be Y2J. Chris Jericho making another token appearance during the Canadian leg of the Sweet Revenge Summer Tour. This time going up against Dick the Bulldog Brower in one-on-one action. Chris Jericho moves faster and he thinks faster. As long as he keeps moving fast and thinking fast and doesn't allow Bulldog Brower to get his hands on him, he should be just fine. That'd be the move. Keep it moving, keep Brower off his vertical base, soften him up, and then go for the walls of Jericho. Well, of course, it all sounds marvelous the way you describe it. And if he follows that plan, he can't go wrong. I'm sorry, I can't buy it, Denny. There's 1,000 other things that could go wrong.
His opponent, accompanied by Captain Lou Albano from Dover, Delaware, weighing 285 pounds, the one-man riot squad, Dick the Bulldog Brower.
All right, gang, lock up the entire first row because they are not safe. It's Brower Power time. Dick the Bulldog Brower, accompanied by Captain Lou Albano, one of the few human beings capable of keeping this unpredictable wild man under control. To be clear, he's not George the Animal Steel crazy, but he could definitely benefit with some anger management class. Look at him, he's borderline psychotic, Danny. Look at those eyes. Absolutely horrifying. Certainly wouldn't be one standing on the other side of the ring looking at that. Not too many people do, and granted, Dick the Bulldog Brower's never going to win any beauty contests. But as far as competing in the ring, He's an #1 competitor, and I think Chris Jericho might have his share of problems tonight. While Brower is certainly one of a class, I've always questioned the validity of allowing people with mental disturbances, whether real or imagined, to be competing inside a wrestling ring. Listen, the doctor passed him. It is what it is. Yes, well, obviously, he's every bit as sane as you or I. Yeah, Jericho's got a huge disadvantage as far as Brower's size and weight are concerned. Oh boy. The bell rings. Here we go. Jericho with a dropkick that don't even make Brower flinch. Jericho counters with a left to the head. Another dropkick. Still can't take Brower down. There's an elbow. Brower got him by the throat. Slams him down. Oh, Jericho counters it. Look at that. That was beautiful. Brower with a dragon screw on Chris Jericho. Jericho counters. Nails him with a dragon screw of his own. Brower counters, gets back up on his feet. Jericho counters with a knee. Another dropkick. Brower still ain't going down. Brower rolls him up. Look at this here. 1, 2. But no. That one didn't work out. Chris Jericho counters Bulldog Brower with a left to the head. The dropkick still won't take him down. Bulldog Brower with a headbutt. Another one. Just backing Chris Jericho up, whips him to the far corner. A clothesline. Jericho rounded up by Brower again. A quick jab, a knee to the midsection, and a couple of kicks to the chest. Bulldog Brower firing on all cylinders right now. Jericho catches a kick, a stomp. Bulldog Brower definitely working at 100% here. Jericho counters, gets back up. Another dropkick, still can't take Brower down. Bulldog Brower, inverted atomic drop. Follows that one up with a second one. Down goes Chris Jericho. Jericho, rounded. Oh, look at this. A jawbreaker. Brower counters. Lutez press. And a set of right hands to Chris Jericho. Captain Lou Albano watching his guy real careful. Brower comes on out. Jericho tags him with a right. Brower puts on the brakes, slams him down to the floor, and goes right for the throat. Not sure if it's a choke or a mandible claw. I can't be sure from here. Jericho counters, gets back up. Brower countered by Jericho with a kick. Chris Jericho makes his way back to the ring. So does Brower. Brower gets a hold of Jericho first. Snap mares him. And there's a straitjacket choke right there from Bulldog Brower. Chris Jericho gets to one knee. Tags Brower with a hard shot to the midsection. A hard right. Brower in the corner. A shoulder tackle and an elbow from Jericho. Rebound off the ropes. And a bulldog to Bulldog Brower. Ironic. Rear headlock. Brower gets back up again. Couple of elbows to Chris Jericho. Brower winds up the arm. Jericho counters with a forearm. A kick to Brower. Tries for the DDT, but Brower counters. Snap mares Jericho again back into that straitjacket choke. And really cinching up on it. Jericho seems to be having his problems getting out of it. Brower's got it locked in real good. Brower lets the hold go. Follows up with a stomp to Jericho. Rounds him up. Takes him towards the ropes. Bulldog Brower countered by Chris Jericho. There's a kick. Brower counters Jericho again. Both these guys really quick. Uh-oh, by the throat. Bad news for Chris Jericho. The Tongan death grip here. Tom Canamora watching, thinks that's it. He's done. The refs rung the bell. Bulldog Brower defeats Chris Jericho by submission. Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, the time, 4 minutes and 7 seconds. Your winner, Bulldog Brower.
It's an upset win for Dick the Bulldog Brower, the one-man Riot Squad, picking up a submission win over Chris Jericho I'll tell you what, Reg, I can't believe it. Neither can I. I'd really had it I was all in for Chris Jericho to win this one. Like I said, he allowed Bulldog Brown to get his hands on him for a bit too long. Yep, obviously that did not work out. More RWL Legend Showdown when we return right after the break.
Hi fans, Aria Mitchell, Rage Ring announcer here. Well, all summer long, RWL has brought the excitement with this year's Sweet Revenge Summer Tour. But all good things must come to an end, and some endings are just new beginnings. Join us Monday, September 1st, as we begin the road towards December's year-ending Memphis Million with RWL Labor Day Slamathon. That's Monday, Labor Day, September 1st. We'd love to see you there.
Alright gang, up next, Rockin' Robin, trying to put behind the loss of the opportunity to get the Joyce Grable Memorial title from Liberty Bell Danielle. Going one-on-one tonight against the Glamazon Beth Phoenix with Jake the Snake Roberts in Rockin' Robin's corner.
Ladies and gentlemen, this next match, one fall, a 10-minute time limit. Approaching the ring from Buffalo, New York, the Glamazon, Beth Phoenix.
Okay, so it's been about a month since we've seen Beth Phoenix. She's back tonight and ready to go against Rockin' Robin, and they have not met yet. Which means it's going to be a very interesting matchup. Because there's Rockin' Robin with her completely clean style of wrestling as opposed to Beth Phoenix and her power method. A solid assessment, Reggie. Ought to be a terrific matchup. Wow, with Beth Phoenix. Absolutely amazing.
Her opponent, accompanied by Jake the Snake Roberts, from Charlotte, North Carolina, here is Rockin' Robin.
Well, she had a rather rough break in her Joyce Grable title match with Liberty Bell Danielle. Rockin' Robin has to put it behind her in this matchup with Beth Phoenix. You know, she ain't said nothing publicly, but I can tell. Rockin' Robin's a little bit salty about that last loss. Well, I'd imagine she would be. It was her first title opportunity since coming back, and now she's blown it. Now she has to try and make up the loss tonight against Beth Phoenix. It still don't make up for losing a title shot, no matter what you think. You know, Reg, Rockin' Robin was undefeated until Danielle Heathcote come along. Let's see how she does against Beth Phoenix. Referee Tom Kanamura sounds the bell. The Glamazon charges and misses. Rockin' Robin gets a hold of her. Big time slam. Robin rounds up the Glamazon, gets a hold of her, has her all the way up, but the Glamazon, quick with the counter and the escape, whips Robin to the far corner. She rebounds out. Needed a head from Beth Phoenix. Rockin' Robin rounded up. There's a backbreaker. The Glamazon starting to really open up here. Hangs Rockin' Robin up off the top rope. Jake the Snake Roberts got to be a little bit worried. Rockin' Robin in some pain here. The Glamazon catches a slap and a kick to the gut and a double shot from Rockin' Robin. An arm drag from Beth Phoenix. These two going back and forth, hammer and tong here. Rebound off the ropes. Look at this. That was beautiful, but no connect. A kick to the midsection from Rockin' Robin. Misses with the clothesline. Delivers a couple of kicks instead. Down goes Beth Phoenix. The Glamazon laid out. Rockin' Robin gathers her up. Misses with the slap. A clothesline from Beth Phoenix. Followed up with a stomp to the head. Another knee to the head from Beth Phoenix. There's a cover. One. Just a one. Rockin' Robin starting to lose control of things here. There's an elbow from Robin. Beth Phoenix gets a hold of her, whips her to the far corner. There's a quick counter from Rockin' Robin into a power slam. That was beautiful and quick too. Rockin' Robin. A very nice submission on Beth Phoenix. Jake the Snake Roberts likes what he sees, but the Glamazon quick to get out of the hold. Rockin' Robin being taken halfway across the ring, but counters the Glamazon with elbows. Beth Phoenix whip to the ropes. Here she comes. Tries for the Hurricane Rana, but no dice. The Glamazon counters it into a powerbomb. Beth Phoenix rounds up Rockin' Robin, slams her head into the turnbuckle. Robin counters, gets Glamazon into the corner. There's a right. Rockin' Robin whips her right into the referee. Good night, Tom. A hard right from Beth Phoenix. Up over the shoulder. Head first into the turnbuckle as the referee comes back to the land of the living. There's an arm drag from Rockin' Robin. The Glamazon starting to slow down a little bit here. They lock up. Beth Phoenix shoves her away, goes behind. And another rib breaker from Beth Phoenix. It's starting to look a little bit more fired up. The Glamazon gets a hold of Rockin' Robin, pitches her to the ropes. There's an elbow, takes Robin down to the mat. An elbow to the chest from Beth Phoenix. The Glamazon drags Rockin' Robin towards center. Goes to work on the arms. Robin counters with a forearm. Gets a hold of Beth Phoenix, but there's an eye gouge. Misses with the clothesline. Rockin' Robin gets a hold of her into a dragon sleeper. And a hip toss from Rockin' Robin. Look at this. There's a chair being brought into the ring by Jake the Snake Roberts. I think that's the first time we've ever seen him cheat. Well, how about that? The Glamazon with a kick. Robin with an elbow. A fireman's carry from Beth Phoenix. The Glamazon gets a hold of Rockin' Robin. Snapmare into a reverse dragon sleeper. Beth Phoenix releases the hold. Beth Phoenix countered by Rockin' Robin as the chair gets out of here. Good eyes on the referee. The Glamazon pitched out over the top rope, out onto the floor. Rockin' Robin doing a little bit of showing off here. Rockin' Robin standing tall here as she makes her way to the outside, goes after Beth Phoenix. There's a nice arm drag. Robin makes her way back inside the ring, so does Beth. A quick clothesline from the Glamazon. Down goes Rockin' Robin. Beth Phoenix all the way up on the top. Drives her knee right into the chest. Robin rounded up. There's a leg sweep as Rockin' Robin decides she's going to take a high-risk maneuver here. Beth Phoenix slow to stand herself up. And a nice arm drag from Rockin' Robin. Robin gets a hold of Beth, whips it to the corner. Turns her around. Gets her up on the top turnbuckle. There's a hard right hand. Guess who's going for a long ride? It's Beth Phoenix. About to take a top rope superplex. All the way up and all the way down. That's definitely a high-risk maneuver. Rockin' Robin rounds up Beth Phoenix. A slap across the back of the head. Beth Phoenix takes Robin down. Jake Roberts looking tentative about whether or not he's going to get directly involved here. Beth Phoenix all the way up to the top. And here we go again. The elbow misses the mark. Rockin' Robin getting out of the way quick. But Beth Phoenix slams her down. Rockin' Robin catches a stomp to the head. Look at that tilt-the-world backbreaker. That takes power. The Glamazon's got it. Beth Phoenix rounds her up by the throat. Two-handed chokeslam from the Glamazon. Oh, here we go. The glam stretch from Beth Phoenix on Rockin' Robin. We could have a submission right here. Beth Phoenix stretching Rockin' Robin to the maximum here. Robin not giving up though. Beth Phoenix releases the hold in frustration. But she senses the end could be near right here. Stalking Rockin' Robin, goes behind. Has her all the way up. There's the glam slam. That's going to do it. 1, 2, 3. And Beth Phoenix hands Rockin' Robin her second loss in a row.
Ladies and gentlemen, the time, 7 minutes, 14 seconds. Your winner, Beth Phoenix.
All right, you can chuck up the W in Beth Phoenix's ledger. The Glamazon picking up the win over Rockin' Robin. And that's our second loss in a row. I'm sure she's feeling some kind of way about it. I know Jake the Snake Roberts sure is, bringing that chair into the ring. Yes, that was a bit out of the ordinary. So far, Jake the Snake Roberts has been phenomenally well behaved. Now, unfortunately, it looks like things might be turning the other way. Well, I'll tell you what, I sure hope not. Rockin' Robin's got a lot of fans that support her, and I don't think they'd support her very long if she was to, go over to the dark side, you know what I mean? Well, in any case, Beth Phoenix picking up the win over Rockin' Robin here. We still got a whole lot more Legends Showdown to go. We'll be back right after the break with a whole lot more. Alright, as Legends Showdown continues, tag team competition, straight ahead to close out the first hour, the Hart Foundation, Bret the Hitman Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart, facing Playboy Buddy Rose and Bob Backlund. Well, that's interesting. Backlund and Buddy Rose still working together.
Ladies and gentlemen, this next tag team match, one fall with a 15-minute time limit. Approaching the ring at a combined weight of 515 pounds. From Calgary, Alberta, Canada, Bret the Hitman Hart. And from Reno, Nevada, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, the Hart Foundation.
Bret and the Anvil coming off a big win over the Freak and the Wild Thing, the Snarl Tag Team Champions, and Bret the Hitman Hart certainly shed his share of blood in that particular matchup. No, absolutely no question about it. That was a hard-fought victory, that was.
And their opponents at a combined weight of 520 pounds. From Princeton, Minnesota, Bob Backlund. And from Las Vegas, Nevada, Playboy Buddy Rose.
Yeah, Reg, these two have been tag team partners ever since Bob Backlund rescued Playboy Buddy Rose from Pat Patterson and Ray Stevens. They was going to attack him with a chair, and Backlund came and saved the day, and, well, ever since then, they've been tag team partners. And it always does my heart good, Danny, to see a tag team partnership bonded out of friendship and respect. And it seems to be that's what Bob Backlund and Buddy Rose have. Well, there's one thing I want to know if they have. And what's that? Do they have what it takes to defeat the Hart Foundation? Well, that's a great question, Danny. We're going to find out right about now. It's a pretty interesting mix of opponents. Going to make for a good tag team match. The Hitman and Playboy Buddy Rose starting us off here. The ref rings the bell. They come center ring. They lock up. Buddy Rose goes behind on Bret the Hitman Hart, takes him down to the canvas into a headlock. The Hitman rounds him up, counters into a headlock of his own, takes him down to the mat. Buddy Rose with a head scissor. The Hitman gets out of that right back into the headlock. Followed up with a shot to the head. Playboy Buddy Rose whips the Hitman to the ropes. The Hitman counters. Fireman's carry from Playboy Buddy Rose. Buddy with the Hitman up against the ropes. Drop toe hold from the Hitman drapes Buddy Rose across the center rope as the Hitman drives the knee into the back of the Playboy. The Hitman whips Buddy Rose to his team's corner. Buddy Rose, quick counter, whips the Hitman to his team's corner. Here comes Bob Backlund on the tag. And here comes the double team. An air-assisted crossbody from Bob Backlund. The Hitman counters with a jawbreaker. Gets a hold of Backlund. Whips into the Hart Foundation corner. Backlund kicks out. The Hitman hits him with an elbow. Backlund hits him with a kick. The Hitman clotheslines him right out onto the floor. Wow. Bret the Hitman Hart goes out after Bob Backlund. Gets him back inside the ring. Jim the Anvil Neidhart cheering his partner on. Bob Backlund whipped to the ropes. Backlund with a quick Olay out of the way, but catches a kick. Puts the brakes on the Hitman, takes him down to the mat. Into a single leg crab. Wow. The Hitman, with the counter move, finds his way out. Bret Hart, with a knee into the back of Bob Backlund. Bret whips Backlund to his team's corner. Backlund again counters, finds his way out of the corner. Gets a hold of the Hitman. There's a snapmare from Backlund. Backlund misses with the kick. Bret the Hitman Hart goes behind. Side suplex. Takes Backlund to the mat. Bret the Hitman Hart sets up Backlund. Got him by the trunks all the way up. Long vertical suplex from the Hitman. Backlund back up real quick. Up over the shoulders goes the Hitman. Flapjack to the canvas. Face first. Bob Backlund countered by the Hitman. Backlund gets a hold of the Hitman. Whips him into his team's corner. Here comes Playboy Buddy Rose. And here comes the double team. The drop toe hold and the elbow from the Playboy. Bret Hart back up, delivers a kick to the Playboy. And a spinning neckbreaker. Bret Hart with a stomp to the face of Playboy Buddy Rose. Buddy counters with the leg sweep. Another jawbreaker from Bret the Hitman Hart. What? Playboy Buddy Rose shoves him down to the mat. Follows it up with a couple of stomps. The Playboy snaps the leg on the excellence of execution. Here's a hot tag to Jim the Anvil Neidhart. Buddy Rose puts the brakes on him right away. The Anvil counters with elbows. The Playboy Buddy Rose misses with the charging move, catches a kick to the side from the Playboy. A club and overhand right. Buddy Rose with a back suplex on Jim the Anvil Neidhart. The Anvil starting to lose his temper a little bit. Playboy Buddy Rose on the outside with the Anvil, winds up the arm. The Anvil counters with some shots, backs off Playboy Buddy Rose. Playboy counters with an elbow to the leg. An elbow to the face of the Anvil. The Anvil puts on the brakes, slams down Buddy Rose to the floor. Rounds him up by his throat. Buddy Rose again with another couple of elbows. A couple of right hands. He's got Jim the Anvil Neidhart reeling. Jim the Anvil Neidhart head first into the ring post. Courtesy of Playboy Buddy Rose. He does it again. The Playboy not fooling around here. Gets the Anvil up. Anvil counters with a knee to the head. Playboy Buddy Rose counters. Another right, and a third. The Anvil hits the announce table on the outside. Again, driven face first into the ring post by Playboy Buddy Rose. Buddy rolls him back inside the ring. That was a pretty good salvo from Playboy Buddy Rose, but here comes Bret the Hitman Hart. A clothesline from the Hitman. Buddy Rose puts a stop on him and takes him down. One arm. Playboy Buddy Rose kind of enjoying himself. There's a stomp to the Hitman, a hard right, another one, and a third one. A kick. Bret the Hitman Hart catching all kind of jabs and a little fancy footwork, and a hard right from Playboy Buddy Rose. He just busted Bret the Hitman Hart wide open. The Hitman whipped to the opposing team's corner, and here we go. Playboy Buddy Rose starts stomping away at Bret the Hitman Hart. Here's a blind tag from Bob Backlund. And now it's his turn. And they are just putting the boots all over Bret the Hitman Hart. He is catching a hell. Man, Backlund comes in one more time. A drop kick to the Hitman. And he rolls out to the center of the ring. Backlund covers, so hits the leg. 1, 2. I would have thought that might have been it, but no. The Hitman still in the game here. Unneeded ahead of Bob Backlund. And Backlund goes down. The Hitman whips Backlund to the corner. Backlund counters. Bret counters. Bret Hart whips Backlund to the far corner. Turns him around. And there it is, a running bulldog out of the corner. Bob Backlund slammed face first to the canvas. Backlund counters with a dragon screw, seems to be all right. Rounds up Bret the Hitman Hart. Whips into his team's corner. The Playboy brought back in again. And another double team, another drop toe hold, and another elbow across the back of Bret the Hitman Hart. And listen to this crowd in Edmonton. They are going for Playboy Buddy Rose here. A kick to the midsection from the Hitman, a running bulldog to Buddy Rose. The Playboy rounded up by the Hitman. Up, here we go, pile driver. And a nasty one. The Hitman might have it here. One. Nope, Bob Backlund right there to break up the pin. Bret Hart rounds up Playboy Buddy Rose for another running bulldog. And yeah, I would imagine Bret the Hitman Hart's got to be tired by now. This match just about half over. A stump puller on Playboy Buddy Rose. Referee Tom Canamora checking things out, but Playboy finding his way out the back door. A kick from the Hitman, a second. Tries for the DDT, but no good. Playboy Buddy Rose right on him. A clothesline to Bret the Hitman Hart, and down he went. Bret Hart catches another clothesline from Buddy Rose, and another one. Buddy Rose whips him to the corner, charges. Big running splash, a rebound off the ropes, and a huge crossbody from Playboy Buddy Rose. Wow, he's moving hard right to the Hitman, turns him around, and what a suplex from the Playboy. Even Bob Backlund's cheering him on. The Hitman hits the opposing team's corner again. Uh-oh, this ain't good. Bob Backlund getting out of the way of Playboy Buddy Rose here as Bret the Hitman Hart gets ready to go for a very long ride. All the way down towards the announce table from the top turnbuckle. Playboy Buddy Rose. He just did a hell of a lot of damage to Bret the Hitman Hart. The Hitman counters, catches an arm drag from Playboy Buddy Rose. The Hitman counters. Playboy counters with a kick. The Hitman counters with a right. Rose counters with another right. Gets the Hitman up. The Hitman counters into an inverted DDT. Excuse me. Playboy Buddy Rose driven into the announce table. Bret Hart catches a fireman's carry. A hard right from Buddy Rose. And another backbreaker too. Man, he is just stringing all these moves together. The Hitman counters with an elbow to the leg. Playboy Buddy Rose with a headbutt to the Hitman. And finally, Buddy Rose gets him back in the ring. And not a minute too soon. Bob Backlund brought in on the tag. Bret the Hitman Hart just about standing up. Backlund misses with the kick. The Hitman takes him down center ring. He's going for a sharpshooter, but Playboy Buddy Rose would rather he didn't. And he just made the point. Backlund and the Hitman both wrecked after this long match. Bret the Hitman Hart delivers a half-hearted stomp to Bob Backlund. Goes for a cover. One. Just a one. That count was never going to stick. Backlund rounded up by Bret the Hitman Hart. The Hitman whips him to the corner. Tags in the Anvil. Backlund about to catch some double team hell here. The Hitman's got him up. The Anvil's off the second rope. Elbow across the chest of Bob Backlund. Backlund back up to a standing position. A hard right from the Anvil drives him into the corner again. Backlund counters with a kick. The Anvil counters with a kick. Backlund counters the clothesline into a spine buster. That was impressive. Bob Backlund countered by Jim the Anvil Neidhart. The Anvil with a clubbing double axe handle across the head of Bob Backlund. Backlund with a knee to the head of Jim the Anvil Neidhart. The fans definitely behind Bob Backlund here. A back body drop from Jim the Anvil Neidhart. The Anvil countered by Bob Backlund with a hard left and a clothesline. Backlund follows it up with a second one, rebounds off the ropes. A beautiful flying kick takes the Anvil down to the mat. The Anvil counters with an arm drag. Backlund counters with a shot to the midsection. Anvil counters with a kick. Gets Backlund up over the shoulders and an airplane spin. Bob Backlund's about to be real dizzy. The Anvil drops Bob Backlund. Follows that up with a stomp and a kick to the back. Backlund making his way back up. And a belly-to-belly suplex to Jim the Anvil Neidhart. How'd he do it? Bob Backlund rounds him up over the shoulders into a torture rack submission. That's it. The referee has called for the bell. That's it. Backlund and Playboy Buddy Rose win this match over the Hart Foundation by submission.
Ladies and gentlemen, the time, 13 minutes and 6 seconds. Your winners by submission, Bob Backlund and Playboy Buddy Rose.
Well, that was impressive. Backlund and Rhodes picking up a submission win over the Hart Foundation, with Bob Backlund using a submission move on Jim the Anvil Neidhart. Well, who would have believed it? Well, it's like I told you. Backlund and Rhodes, they're a solid tag team, and they just proved it with a win over the Hart Foundation. Folks, that takes care of the first half of tonight's RWO Legends Showdown. We're going to be back with the second half right after these brief words. Hope to see you there.